Hello, my friends. Today, I want to tell you a simple story. This story is about a boy. His name was Avenil. Avenil was a quiet boy. He lived in a loud world. There were sounds everywhere. Cars, people, music, news, phones, so much noise. Every day was busy. Every place was full of talking. Avenil felt tired. His mind was full. He could not think clearly. He wanted peace. He wanted rest. One day, he went to a quiet place. He sat near a tree. He said nothing. He looked around. He listened to the wind. He closed his eyes. Something strange happened. He felt calm. He felt light. He felt safe. It was just silence. But it felt strong. That day, Avenil learned something. Silence was not empty. It was full. It had power. It had answers. It had truth. Avenil began to love silence. He went to that tree every day. He did not take his phone. He did not take books. He did not take friends. He took nothing. He just sat. At first, it was hard. His mind was busy. Thoughts ran fast. But slowly, he changed. He started to hear his heart. He started to see clearly. He started to know what he really wanted. One day, Avenil said to himself, "I am not happy. I try to please everyone. I try to be perfect. But I forget myself." These words came from inside. Not from people. Not from videos. Not from books. But from silence. That was the day Avenil started to change. He said less. He listened more. At school, he did not talk all the time. He watched. He learned. He saw who was kind. He saw who lied. He saw who was lost. He saw who was strong. He did not need to speak. He understood more with silence. His teachers noticed. They said, "Avenil, you are wise." His friends asked, "Why are you so calm?" Avenil smiled. He did not explain. He knew his power was silence. One day, a boy got angry at Avenil. He shouted. He said bad words. Avenil looked at him. He said nothing. He stayed calm. The boy walked away. He felt small. Avenil felt peace. That was silence again. Silence was not fear. It was control. It was strength. Avenil used silence every day. In class, he listened before talking. In meetings, he waited before answering. When people were loud, he stayed quiet. And people listened to him more. When he spoke, his words felt strong. Not because he was loud, but because he was silent first. Avenil also used silence at home. One day, his sister was crying. She had a bad day. Avenil sat next to her. He did not say, "It's okay." He did not say, "Be strong." He said nothing. He just stayed. After some time, she stopped crying. She said, "Thank you for being here." Avenil had no words. But his silence gave love. That is the secret. Silence can give love. Silence can give peace. Silence can give healing. But many people do not know this. They think silence is boring. They think silence is weak. But Avenil learned the truth. Silence is deep. Silence is soft, but strong. Silence is not noise, but power. One day, Avenil was in a big group. Everyone was talking. Everyone wanted to be heard. One person said, "I have the answer." Another said, "No, listen to me." But Avenil stayed silent. He watched. He waited. He saw what no one else saw. Then, when the room was quiet, Avenil spoke. He said one small idea. Everyone listened. Everyone nodded. Avenil said no more. That was it. But people remembered his words. Why? Because his silence gave them weight. After that day, people respected him more. Not because he talked much, but because he talked wisely. He used silence as a tool. Silence to wait. Silence to think. Silence to learn. Silence to heal. Silence to grow. Every day, Avenil gave himself 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes of quiet. He sat alone. No phone. No noise. Just silence. And those 10 minutes gave him power. He thought better. He felt better. He understood life better. Sometimes he wrote his thoughts. Sometimes he just breathed. Sometimes he cried. Sometimes he smiled. But always, he came back stronger. Avenil began to teach others. He told them, try silence. Just try. Some laughed. Some didn't believe him. But some tried. And they came back to him. They said, it works. A girl said, I sleep better now. A boy said, I feel less angry. A mother said, my child listens to me more. All because of small moments of silence. Avenil smiled. He felt happy. He did not speak much. But he helped many. One boy asked him, what is your secret? Avenil said softly, my secret is no secret. It is silence. The boy looked confused. But later he understood. Avenil's life was changing. Slowly, quietly, powerfully. He was still the same boy, but also very different. He was calm. He was focused. He was wise. Not because he knew everything, but because he listened. Because he paused. Because he stayed quiet when others spoke. Avenil learned that silence is a teacher. Silence is a mirror. Silence is a friend. In silence, you find yourself. In silence, you heal. In silence, you grow. That is what Avenil wanted to share. He wanted the world to slow down, to sit still, to listen. He wanted every person to feel the power of silence. Not someday, but today. Just sit. Just breathe. Just be quiet. That is the first step. Avenil took that step, and it changed everything. Avenil started to see silence not just as a moment, but as a way of life. It became a part of him, like breathing or walking. Every morning, before anyone woke up, he sat quietly. He did not rush. He did not plan. He just sat. At first, the silence felt empty. But now it felt full. It felt like a soft room inside his mind. In that room, he met himself. His real self. The part of him that no one saw. The part that was scared. The part that had dreams. The part that asked big questions. Who am I? What do I want? Why do I feel this way? These questions had no fast answers. But in silence, he heard something. A soft voice inside. It said, keep going. You are learning. You are growing. Avenil started writing what he felt. Not big essays. Just small lines. One line each morning. Things like, I feel calm today, or I am still learning. These small lines helped him. They showed his journey. He saw his thoughts clearly. He saw his habits. He saw what made him angry. What made him tired? What made him smile? And little by little, he changed. One day, his teacher asked him to give a talk. Avenil was shy. He didn't like to speak in front of people. But he said yes. The topic was how to become strong. Other students talked about big things. Exercise, winning, fighting, working hard. But Avenil said something else. He said, be silent. Just for a few minutes each day, and you will find your real strength. The room was quiet. No one laughed. No one spoke. They listened. His words were soft. His voice was low. But his message was strong. After the talk, a boy came to him and said, that was different. I want to try it. Avenil smiled. He said, start small. Just sit with yourself. That's what Avenil did too. He used silence in many ways now. When he was sad, he did not hide it with noise. He sat with his sadness. He let it pass. When he was confused, he did not ask everyone for answers. He sat quietly and waited. Often, the answer came. When he was tired, he did not scroll his phone. He closed his eyes and rested. Silence helped his body. Silence helped his mind. Silence helped his heart. Even in busy places, ISilence found silence. In a full room, he made space in his head. He focused on his breath. He remembered his quiet tree. He made silence inside. That was his secret. One day, someone made fun of ISilence. They said, "Why are you so quiet? Are you scared?" ISilence looked at them. He smiled. He said nothing. That silence said everything. It said, "I don't need to fight." It said, "I am at peace." The other boy walked away, confused. ISilence won the moment. Not with words, but with calm. That is the power of silence. ISilence also learned that silence can save time. When people talk too much, they say the wrong things. They make mistakes. They create drama. But silence is safe. It gives you time to think, to breathe, to choose your words. One day, ISilence saw two people fighting. They shouted. They blamed each other. No one listened. ISilence watched. Then he said, "Maybe just sit quietly for a minute. Then talk." At first, they ignored him. But later, they did it. And the fight ended. They felt better. They thanked ISilence. Again, silence helped. ISilence also used silence to study. When he read in silence. No music. No talking. Just reading. He understood more. He remembered more. He worked faster. His grades improved. He didn't study longer. He studied deeper. That was silence again. One teacher asked him, "What's your secret?" He said, "I just sit quietly. I let my brain rest. Then I start." The teacher nodded. She said, "That is wise." ISilence felt proud. Not proud in a loud way, but a quiet, deep proud. He knew he was growing. Every evening, ISilence walked in silence. Just a short walk. No phone. No noise. Just steps and breath. He watched the trees. He felt the air. He heard the birds. He looked at the sky. He was just there, in the moment. That gave him joy. Pure, real joy. Not fast fun, but slow peace. ISilence felt alive. And he wanted others to feel the same. He told his sister, "Come with me. Let's walk in silence." She came. At first, she laughed. She said, "This is boring." But after 10 minutes, she smiled. She said, "This feels nice." ISilence nodded. He said, "Yes, this is real life." Slowly, people around ISilence changed too. His silence made them curious. They asked questions. They tried it. And they felt better. One friend said, "I sit alone now for 5 minutes. I feel strong." Another said, "I speak less. I listen more. I understand people better." ISilence felt joy. Not because he was famous. Not because he got likes. But because he helped others feel peace. That was enough. That was real. Silence was changing lives. Not just his, but many. And all it took was one choice. One small step. One quiet moment each day. That's all. ISilence was still young. He had many things to learn. Many things to face. But he had a tool now. A strong, quiet tool. Whenever life felt hard, he knew what to do. Sit. Breathe. Listen. Wait. Trust. That was his way. That was his strength. Silence. He didn't need noise. He didn't need attention. He just needed space. Space for his thoughts. Space for his heart. Space to grow. Avenil was becoming something rare in the world. Someone who was silent, but powerful. One day, Avenil was sitting under his tree. He looked at the sky. The clouds moved slowly. The air was soft. Everything was quiet. He closed his eyes. He felt thankful. This silence had given him so much. It had made him strong. It had made him clear. It had helped him grow. He thought about how people live these days. Always rushing. Always talking. Always scrolling. Everyone wanted to be first. Everyone wanted to be seen. Everyone wanted to be heard. But no one wanted to listen. No one wanted to wait. No one wanted to be still. That was the problem. That was the reason for stress. For pain. For confusion. Avenil said to himself, the world needs silence. But how? How could he share it? How could he teach it? He was not a teacher. He was not famous. He was just a boy. A quiet boy. But then he smiled. He remembered something. He did not need to shout. He did not need a big stage. He just needed to live the truth. To be the example. To show others by being silent. So he did. He became more quiet. More peaceful. And people felt it. They said, you are easy to be with. They said, you make us feel calm. They said, you are different. Avenil smiled. He didn't say much. But he was teaching through his silence. One day, he sat with his father. His father was always busy. Always working. Always speaking fast. But that day, Avenil said, let's just sit. His father looked surprised. Sit and do what? Avenil said, nothing. Just sit. They sat in the backyard. No phones. No talking. Just silence. At first, his father moved a lot. He looked at his watch. He checked his pocket. But slowly, he became still. After 10 minutes, he said, this feels good. Avenil smiled. His silence had reached his father too. Then, his father said something important. I think I work too much. I forget to feel. That was a big moment. That one silent sit helped his father see something deep. Avenil said nothing. He just listened. That was enough. Another day, Avenil was walking home. He saw a boy crying on the side. Avenil stopped. He sat next to him. The boy looked at him. He was ready to talk. But Avenil didn't ask questions. He just sat, quiet and kind. After a while, the boy spoke. I feel alone. Avenil nodded. Still silent. The boy cried more. Then he said, thank you for not walking away. Avenil still said nothing. But his silence was loud with love. The boy stood up. He looked lighter. Avenil walked with him. That moment stayed in Avenil's heart. He thought, sometimes, silence is the best help. Avenil now used silence in many ways. He used it to rest, to think, to grow, to help, to love. He also used it to create. When he wanted to draw, he sat in silence. When he wanted to write, he began with silence. His best ideas came from that quiet space. Silence was not empty. It was full of beauty. It was full of answers. One night, Avenil could not sleep. His mind was busy. So many thoughts. So many worries. He sat up in bed. He took a deep breath. He did not touch his phone. He did not get up. He just closed his eyes. He said to himself, be still. Then he listened to his breath. In and out. Slowly. Gently. After some time, the thoughts became soft. His mind felt quiet. He lay down. He fell asleep with peace. That night, silence gave him rest. Another time, Avenil had a big decision. He got a chance to travel to another city for a school project. It was a big thing, but also scary. New place, New people. He felt nervous. He asked for advice. Many people said many things. Go. Don't go. What if it's hard? What if it's great? Avenel's mind was full again. So he did what he always did. He sat in silence. No voices. No opinions. Just him and the quiet. He breathed slowly. He asked himself, what do I really want? And he waited. After some time, the answer came. Not loud. Not fast. But clear. He wanted to go. He wanted to learn. He was ready. And that answer came from silence. He smiled. He felt sure. Silence gave him the truth. Avenil told his teacher, yes, I will go. The teacher was happy. She said, I knew you would make a wise choice. Avenil thanked her. But inside, he thanked silence. On that trip, Avenil used silence too. He met new people. He saw new places. But he stayed calm. He did not try to talk too much. He did not try to impress. He just observed. He just listened. And people liked him. They said, you are peaceful. One girl said, I feel safe with you. Avenil smiled. Silence again. Even in a new city, it helped him. It was like a light inside him. Always with him. Always strong. On the last day of the trip, Avenil sat by a river. The water moved slowly. Birds flew above. Trees danced in the wind. And Avenil sat quietly. He felt full. Full of peace. Full of joy. Full of silence. That moment was perfect. And he said in his heart, thank you, silence. You are my best friend. When Avenil returned from his trip, he felt new. He felt calm. He felt clear. He felt strong. But it was not because of the city. It was not because of the people. It was because of the silence he carried inside. Now he wanted to grow more. He wanted to build better habits. Not fast habits. Not loud habits. But strong ones. Quiet ones. He began to wake up early. Not to post it online. Not to tell everyone. But just for himself. He woke up at 5. He sat in silence. He drank water. He wrote one line in his notebook. He stretched. He walked. No one saw. No one clapped. But every day, he became better. He did it without noise. He did it without reward. He did it in silence. After a few months, Avenil was different. His face was brighter. His voice was softer. His walk was slower. His heart was stronger. People noticed. They asked what happened. Avenil said, I changed. They asked how. He said quietly. That made them think. That made them curious. Avenil told one friend, you don't need to shout your goals. You just need to grow in silence. His friend said, but if I don't tell people, how will they know? Avenil smiled. He said, let your life show it. Let your peace show it. Let your actions speak. His friend tried. He stopped telling everyone about his plans. He just worked quietly. After some weeks, he came back and said, I feel proud. I feel strong. I did not need likes. I just needed silence. Avenil nodded. He knew that feeling. He felt it every day. It was the feeling of quiet growth. One day, Avenil sat alone. He asked himself hard questions. What is still holding me back? What am I afraid of? What do I need to change? These questions were not easy. But he was ready. He stayed in silence. He waited. Slowly, the answers came. You care too much about what people think. You say yes when you want to say no. You try to be perfect. Avenil wrote these down. He didn't judge himself. He didn't run away. He just sat with it. That was the gift of silence. It showed him his truth. And from truth, real change could happen. Avenil made a plan. A silent plan. He would say no when needed. He would stop trying to please everyone. He would be kind, but also honest. And he would practice this every day, not loudly, not suddenly, but slowly, quietly. He told no one. He just started. And each day, he felt more free, more real, more brave. One day, he met an old friend. The friend talked a lot. He talked about goals, about dreams, about big plans. But Avenil just listened. Then the friend asked, "What about you?" Avenil said, "I am working on myself." The friend asked, "What are you doing?" Avenil smiled and said, "Growing in silence." The friend laughed and said, "That's boring." Avenil just smiled again. He did not explain. He did not argue. He knew the truth. Silence was not boring. Silence was deep. It was rich. It was gold. That evening, Avenil sat with his notebook. He looked at his old pages. So many small lines. So many small steps. All done in silence. He felt proud. Not loud proud, but soft proud. His eyes were wet. Not from pain, but from peace. He had come far, and he still had more to do. But he was not in a rush. Silence had taught him that. Step by step, day by day, quietly, he closed his notebook and whispered, "Thank you." Another morning, Avenil saw a quote online. It said, "Work hard in silence. Let success make the noise." He liked that. It matched his path. He took a screenshot. He did not post it. He just saved it for himself. He read it each day. It became his reminder, his focus, his promise. He made a silent rule. No more big talks. No more promises. No more telling everyone. Just doing. Just growing. In silence. That became his way. That became his power. Avenil started to walk outside more. Silent walks. No music. No phone. Just walking. Breathing. Thinking. He saw things clearly. The shape of trees. The way light touched leaves. The sound of his own steps. It felt new. It felt real. He said to himself, "Silence shows me the world again." And it did. Not just the world outside, but the world inside. He could now see his habits, his fears, his patterns, and slowly, he worked on them. Silently. That made him different. That made him peaceful. One evening, Avenil helped his sister with homework. She was frustrated. She was angry. She threw her pen. Avenil said nothing. He just sat next to her. After some time, she said, "Why aren't you talking?" He said, "Because I want you to calm down first." She looked at him. Then she said, "Thank you." She took a deep breath. They worked together in peace. That is the gift of silence. It spreads. It heals. It calms. Avenil saw this more and more. At school. At home. In small places. In small moments. Silence changed things. Not loudly. Not quickly. But deeply. It touched hearts. It made space. It gave strength. And Avenil was grateful. Every night, before sleeping, he sat in silence for 2 minutes. He closed his eyes. He said thank you. Thank you for the day. Thank you for the lessons. Thank you for the quiet. Then he slept. And he slept well. Because silence was not just in his day. It was in his dreams too.